Hello and welcome to the CNBC TV18 special series. I'm Shireen Bhan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called it an unbeatable combination. We are talking about the strategic partnership between UK and India. To take this forward, we've got the new UK Prime Minister Theresa May visiting India shortly. And of course, on the agenda will be areas of collaboration, both past and future. To talk us through what we can expect, joining us today on this special Curtain Raiser episode is the UK High Commissioner for India, Dominic Asquith. We appreciate you joining us on CNBC TV18. This is your first interview since you came into India and took over here at the UK High Commission. What's the experience been like so far for you?
It's been tremendous. Within 3 weeks of being here, you probably remember I came in the middle of March. So in the first week of April, we had the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, the two young royals. That was an extraordinary introduction to India, hugely successful, really good reaction from thousands of Indians who were in one way or another caught up in that program. And then since then it's been a roller coaster. It's just been great fun. We've had, in June, of course, we had the referendum on the EU. We had a new government in July. And I expected to have a rather quiet summer. I tell you, it wasn't.
It's anything but quiet. But let me talk to you about the new government and what we can expect as far as India and the UK is concerned. I was in London in November last year when Prime Minister Modi visited the UK and talked about this unbeatable combination and talked about how these two countries can come together to create a leading global partnership. From where we stand today, what sort of progress has been made on that aspiration?
Well, it was a really ambitious agenda, and we're working to it. That's the framework in which we're operating. I think we all recognise that we've still got a lot to do on it. It was a big checklist of things to do, a lot of homework. So we're working through that. So this forthcoming visit of the new Prime Minister is a really important moment in that journey. It is a journey, and we're going through various phases. So we're going through the next phase. She's coming. It's the first bilateral visit she's doing outside the EU countries. That sends a really important signal to India, the importance we attach to that relationship and to making further progress on those objectives that we agreed a year ago. And she's coming to inaugurate with Prime Minister Modi the Tech Summit, which we're the country partner. It was an event that we agreed back in November in London last year between the two prime ministers at that time, that we would be the country partner. So this is a year later, we're doing exactly that. And it's a really important message that she's sending at the same time. She's coming with a group of small and medium-sized companies from the whole of the UK, very carefully from the whole of the UK, joining already a very large number of companies, British companies, who will be here for the Tech Summit, and looking at those things that are really important to India, the technology, the innovation, the design, education, you name it, the advanced manufacturing, robotics. There's a whole bunch of really, really important issues as India looks to develop its economy. So that's what we're bringing here and, as it were, laying out and explaining very vividly what the collaboration that we're talking about should be.
So speaking of the collaboration, as you very clearly articulated, a lot of these sectors have been identified, a lot of these areas have been identified for collaboration, whether it's skills development and skills training or sectors like defense and manufacturing and so on and so forth. But if I would ask you about the specific objectives at the end of this Tech Summit, what would qualify this as being successful?
Well, let's break it down a little bit, put it into context. What are the key important things we're looking at? So in the Make in India, we get Make in India. We've been making in India for a very long time. I had in this garden not so long ago a wonderful event, which was a very visual example.
With the JCB, yes.
No, this is a much more, this is a different one. We got the JCB. This was the Red Arrows.
Okay.
So here's the Hawk aircraft, 100 of them virtually, built in Bengaluru, between HAL and BAE, a very, very, very visual example of that sort of collaboration and Make in India. So there's Make in India. We need to do even more of that, but the UK gets it. The skills are extremely important. We developed that one further. The startup, for example, the whole sort of entrepreneurship is a key bit of that relationship, because we're looking at relevance all the time for both of us. So, for example, Tech Rocket Ships, which is this program where we get the best of the startup entrepreneurs in competition from India. In competition, there's been about 600 of them competing, and the best 10 we will select, and it will be announced at the Tech Summit. Rajesh Agrawal, who's the Deputy Mayor of London, came from Indore to Chandigarh in 1999, I think, worked for 5,000 rupees a month.
Right.
A decade later, he's come over to the UK, Deputy Mayor, as I say, on the Sunday Times Rich List. This is, entrepreneurship really in action. So there's that bit. There is the whole question of urban development, of the smart cities, of infrastructure generally, and that's an important bit of taking our activity out of Delhi into the States. The defence and security, there was a very, very important bit of last year, which was the Defence and International Security Partnership, which has that sort of element of working in a variety of areas of real importance, for example, counter-terrorism, cybersecurity and so on, which we will be taking forward again, and developing those mechanisms, business and government, where we will both make real progress. And we've got to have some fun out of this too.
Yes, I hope so.
So we got Andy Green, the guy who drives the Bloodhound, the fastest man on Earth. So there will be all sorts of things.
Okay, just to move away from the Tech Summit for a bit and talk about some of the challenges that we see in this partnership that we're trying to develop. In terms of business confidence, one of the factors that's playing out is what happens post-Brexit. And this is going to be a long-drawn process of negotiating your way out of the EU. But from an Indian business point of view, what is the message that the UK would like to send out?
It's a very clear message of engaging even more than we have in the past with our trading partners, our strategic partners outside the EU. So, Prime Minister is bringing small and medium-sized enterprises from the UK. A large number of British companies are coming over for the Tech Summit. And it is explaining that there are certain things that are not going to change as a result of Brexit. We will still be, as we have again been confirmed in the most recent figures, as the top destination for investment in the EU. Why? Because there's a whole bunch of companies who want to invest in the UK. So Brexit was most definitely not pulling up the drawbridge. It was very clearly putting it out and engaging with the world. We will want to be responsible for agreeing our own trade arrangements, control over our laws, control over our borders. But we most definitely will be out there even more energetically engaged with, as I say, our trading partners. So that's a clear message. There's a rather trite phrase saying Britain is open for business. It means we are out there and demonstrating in real action that we mean what we say.
So if I can talk about the real action and what we can expect in the transition phase, because as I said, this is a drawn-out process. It's going to go on over 2 years. But, the transition is usually the hardest. So in that phase, what can we expect in terms of actions from the UK to try and bring Indian business and Indian capital to the UK? I mean, we've emerged as the third largest provider of foreign direct investment after the US and France into the UK. So to keep that momentum going, what can we truly expect?
Well, you're absolutely right. You're the second largest foreign generator of employment in the UK. That's the collaborative nature. And by the way, we are the largest G20 investor. In terms of what difference you'll see, you'll see even more of what we've been doing in the past. There's a huge platform of collaboration, of success, which we just need to build higher or extend further, however you like to describe it. So the 800 Indian companies that are invested in the UK, they will increase. I have strong confidence. For example, only a week or two ago, not recently, I think this month, Intas, pharmaceutical company in Ahmedabad,
That's right.
has put in another 750 million in investment in dollars in the UK. So that's post-Brexit stuff.
Well, on that note, it is time for us to take a break. But when we return, we continue our conversation with the UK High Commissioner Dominic Asquith on the UK-India strategic partnership. One of the challenges that, businesses are faced with today is the currency volatility, and we've seen what's happened to the pound over the last few weeks now. It's good news for people traveling to the UK, students traveling to the UK, but for businesses not necessarily. So there will have to be renegotiations and redrawing of contracts. What is your own sense on the volatility and perhaps ways of mitigating that risk?
Come on, there's going to be ups and downs all the way through. That's commercial life, that's commercial risk. Everybody has to factor in changes in exchange rates, changes in business standards, whatever it may be. So I'm pretty sort of relaxed about that. Yes, there will be turbulence. Nobody's pretending otherwise. There will be complex negotiations. There will be ups and downs. But at the moment, it's looking pretty good. The fundamentals are there in terms of the strength of the British economy, in terms of employment, stuff I've described before. And in terms of interest, it's not just Indian companies that I can point to who post-referendum, post-June, are continuing to invest and expressing interest in investing in the UK. That's going to continue.
Talking about areas of opportunity and further collaboration, the defence sector is a big sector that the Indian government is prioritising. We've just seen the Rafael deal go through, and it seems to be G2G collaborations that the Indian government would prefer at this point in time. How are you reading the defence story and the opportunities that it throws up for the UK?
I think there's something really important and interesting for Britain specifically to do when it looks at this one. Prime Minister Modi and the current government have made it very clear that they have an ambition to develop their own indigenous defence industry and to move from a sort of government defence industry to a private sector industry. The only partner, the only ally of India who has done that transition is the United Kingdom. We've done exactly that transition successfully, and we have a very successful private sector defence industry across a very broad spectrum. I would want to talk to our Indian counterparts here about what our experience has been, what the process, what that transition means, how you deal with some of the challenges that they throw up, because I think there's a lot that we can exchange and help on. So I take a pretty strategic long-term view of that one, which is you are going through a process which takes some years, it will take some years to develop that capacity. I think we're a key partner, and we need to demonstrate where the areas of collaboration should be and what we can, go back to this word I use, relevance, why we are both relevant to each other. This is it's not inconceivable that we will develop into the point where we are collaborating on the manufacture here of stuff not just for use in India but for export out of India elsewhere.
I asked you about the business confidence with regards to Indian investment going into the UK, but let me ask you about UK investment coming into India. The Sterling Assets report was very bullish about the UK businesses investing in India. As you pointed out, 1 out of every 20 private sector jobs is on account of UK investments into India. How confident do they continue to feel about manufacturing in India, exporting out of India?
Look at the airway manifests, as you were, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and maybe that tells you one story. There's the number of people who are coming over. It is a really important question that you raise. Any investment, any commercial operation in any country has 2 key aspects to it, which is, does it make sense to invest? Answer resoundingly yes in India. And can I put, in other words, is my money safe if I put it in, and can I get my money out? Provided those 2 questions are answered satisfactorily, particularly in the current context where people are looking in the global economy for where it makes sense, where the growth areas are, and India unquestionably, as we all know, is at the top of that list. It will make sense, therefore, to invest in India, and that's to the benefit of both sides. We've got a new Secretary of State for International Trade who is very clear that this investment process is not one way. It's not just inward investment in the UK. It is also working out how British companies should be investing, where they should be investing, how they should be investing in other economies, because that's ultimately in the long term going to benefit.
You know, since you talked about trade, the increasing trend that we're seeing at this point across countries is the move towards more protectionist measures, or at least protectionist rhetoric. And we are seeing that impacting trade numbers where global trade has been declining. How concerned would you be on account of that? And do you believe that this is going to continue to be one of the biggest challenges facing countries like India and even UK as we continue to collaborate and work with each other?
Well, all the members of this current British government have made it absolutely clear many times in public that we are very firm champions and promoters of free trade. The fewer the obstacles, the better the outcome. And you're absolutely right to identify a trend in certain parts of the world where there is a sense of concern in the global economy, and therefore a sort of understandable trend in terms of protecting one's own economies. Ultimately, that's not going to work. We firmly believe that's not going to work. Openness, free trade is the very bedrock of the way that we're going to be looking at our relations. So that discussion with the Indian government is going to be a really important one and a continuing one, and I'm sure one on which we will share the outlook, share the views.
You know, it's premature to even talk about UK-India FTA till you actually negotiate your exit out of the EU. So, but you know, what would the broad aspiration be to engage with each other bilaterally and to deliver on the kind of promise that this relationship has?
Well, the business community are talking to each other already and have been for some months about what their ambitions and expectations and desires would be in terms of an expanded trading relationship in the context of us leaving the EU. So that discussion is going ahead. We haven't initiated yet the negotiations for exiting the EU, so obviously we can't preempt any of that in terms of talking about free trade agreements.
Sure.
But the business community, government itself, when our Secretary of State for International Trade was here in August, we announced at that time that there would be a joint working group at the government level on trade. So, yep, we're engaged on that. That's really important. It's going to take a fair bit of time to work out what the priorities are on both sides, what each side really wants out of any future trading arrangements. But the game is begun. We're talking about it.
Okay. You know, if my memory serves me right, it was what, £9 billion worth of agreements that were inked when Prime Minister Modi visited the UK last year. Are we expecting headlines to be made here in India?
I'm not going to preempt before that one.
Give us a sneak peek.
No, all I would say is don't get hooked up on the dollars. This is not a transactional relationship. We are looking, at this stage of the journey, we are looking very much at the global strategic relationship between the two countries, not at the sort of the tactical, transactional, or indeed wholly business side of the relationship. Those are important, but don't get too hung up on that. This is a strategic partnership. Those two words mean what they say. Long-term, substantial and strategic partnership, we do it together.
Okay, so strategic partnership, long-term aspiration, long-term vision. What are you most excited about? You've spent the last couple of months here in India. It hasn't been an easy time for you, given what's happening back home. But what are you most excited about?
It is almost impossible to express properly the excitement that's going to be coming up with visitor of Prime Minister, a tech summit which has some extraordinarily exciting elements in it. The fastest man, as I say, on Earth, that little robot from far away and long, long ago, R2-D2. There's going to be some inspirational speakers. We're going to have a cast list that will look spectacular. We're going to have exhibits which are going to be really important. So, people need to come here and have a look at it. take part in it, because it is going to be one of the most spectacular events we're going to be putting on for a long, long time. So come, see it and enjoy it.
And if you can't make it there, then you can watch it on CNBC TV 18. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you joining us. From all of us here, goodbye, and stay tuned to the channel for all the updates from the UK India Tech Summit. From all of us here, goodbye. Thanks for watching.